Greetings, YouTube. Today I'm discussing positivity, but in a somewhat negative light. Um, People with disabilities routinely run into barriers that make realizing the life they want impossible. These barriers are not of our making and cannot be overcome by means of positive attitude. A rumination on positive thinking, the myth of control and disability by Rachel Cohen Rottenberg. Given that all bodies are vulnerable and go through fluctuating states of ability, disability, energy fatigue, wellness, and illness, we cannot rely simply on our own individual power. Rather, we must collectively help make one another's dreams manifest. We must remove the barriers and the inequalities that keep people from realizing their dreams. I heard a great quote once. It said, if you are healthy right now, that is temporary. You will become infirm at some point in your life through injury, through disease, through aging. That health is a temporary situation. And the fact that we treat those who are unwell, um, who have an injury or a disease or are aged, we treat them poorly simply for being who they are. And then we have the temerity to tell them that they can overcome whatever obstacle or obstacles they can have, because you can be ill and injured and aged all at the same time. um, is atrocious. It is an atrocity to do that to another human being. um, and a couple of comments in here were just so spot on. It was like in the first, I don't know, dozen or so. It said the cult of positive thinking is new age libertarianism. And then they had one which relates to a study, and there's a link to the study because the people on Metafilter are very on point when it comes to things like this. It also reminds me of the study that shows that some depressive people often aren't actually pessimistic, but rather realistic, and that happier people tend to walk around with rose tinted glasses on. And here's a quote. While people with depression can suffer from cognitive distortions, the scientific literature suggests that those with only mild to moderate depression can also have more accurate judgment about the outcome of so called contingent events, events which may or may not occur, and a more realistic perception of their role, abilities, and limitations. This so called depressive realism may enable a person with depression to shed the Pollyanna optimism and rose tinted spectacles that shield us from reality, to see life more accurately and to judge it more accordingly. Hallelujah! Because that's me. And that's who I've been my whole fucking life. And to know that there's a name for it, to know that someone has studied this and that has slapped the name on something, because that is an amazingly powerful and magical thing. When you can say this is the thing and this is the thing, but this is what that thing is called. It's amazing, and I am so happy that I've discovered this. So I'm going to definitely spread this article to all my family and friends and say, hey, you know something? This is me. But the idea that through positive thinking or through some magical manipulation of the world around us, that those of us with illness, both physical and mental, and limitations and things, can just suddenly magically be better if you just are positive enough. That's oppression. On a really minor scale, I have lost count of the people that have given me cures for my diabetes. Really, I'm serious. Well meaning. Almost all of them have been from other countries, and they're bringing me the wisdom of their other countries with them. And the wisdom of their other countries when it comes to curing diabetes is bullshit, because it doesn't work. You can't cure diabetes. My pancreas is not going to magically start producing insulin properly just because I change my diet or I do something in particular, well, if you do this for X number of days, it'll be all fine. And my feet are not suddenly magically going to grow new nerves and start functioning properly. That isn't going to happen. Now, I understand where they're coming from. They're trying to protect themselves. Because if they can convince me I can cure my diabetes, that means that they are then protected from diabetes. So I understand the mechanism behind that. I really do. And the idea that I could get my depression just to go away, if you just smile more, or you just have to have a more positive attitude when the depression is a real thing in my brain and the connections don't work the way they're supposed to work, and the anxiety is real, and it was put there through damage and harm and abuse from multiple people, and those tracks were laid down before I could even speak. And just think that my magical thinking will go away. It took me 5 years to get where I am right now. 5 years to be aware of all my problems and to gain the skills that I needed to have so I can help to deal and tackle with the stuff that goes around me every day. Just today, something happened, or actually yesterday, something happened at work. And there was a time when it would have thrown me into a downward spiral like you would not believe. It would be like a comet from the friggin' sky. And you know how I reacted today? Yeah, nothing I can do about it. It's done. Didn't mean to have it happen. Wished it hadn't happened. It happened. And I moved on with my friggin' day. And that wasn't through just positive thinking. That was through hard work. And the whole positive thinking theory thing dismisses the hard work that people with disabilities do every single day. So yeah, positive thinking is great. And if you can have positive thinking in your life, and that positive thinking helps you move forward, awesome. And if someone asks you for advice, great. But be aware that positive thinking in and of itself is not going to change someone else's life. It isn't necessarily going to change yours. We all have limitations, and we all have to learn how to get past those limitations if we can. Like I said, my nerves are not going to magically grow back in my feet. People with limbs missing are not going to magically grow them anew. People with spines that don't function are not just going to start standing up and walking because positive thinking is the key to the future. Positive thinking can be wonderful, but telling another person that positive thinking will change their life because we are desperately hoping that magical formula will protect us as a projection, as a means of praying to the universe that we won't have the same thing befall us. Yeah, that's not healthy. And from a person that practices magic, it's not healthy. Because you're trying to essentially sacrifice someone else's life in the hopes that yours will be better. So yeah, New Age libertarianism right there, folks. Willing to sacrifice someone else in the hopes that your life will be better. So positive thinking is a whole lot like a cargo cult, just like libertarianism is. So let's be positive about our own lives and do what we can. But let's accept our limitations and understand that they are real. But having a realistic view of them will help us overcome them as best we can. We may never succeed, but we can try. And in the attempt, we may well become better people. But we can't force that on others. So a whole lot like why I don't like social conservatism. There's a strain going on here, isn't there? There's a link. So let's be positive. But let's not oppress others with positivity.